The evacuation of the Russian space station Mir. The station, which has a crew of 2 Russians and a British-born American, was damaged when an unmanned cargo craft crashed into it. The Russians have called it the most serious accident to the station in recent times. The crew acted quickly to seal off the damaged area and are in no immediate danger, but 45% of Mir's power has been lost. Our Moscow correspondent Diana Goodman reports.
Mission control for the Mir space station is used to dealing with accidents, but today's was especially serious. The space station was damaged after an unmanned supply craft crashed into one of Mir's 6 interlocking modules during a practice attempt at docking. Pictures sent back from space show clear dents in the outside of the module, and apparent holes are visible in a solar panel, which helps the supply of power. British-born astronaut Michael Foale joined 2 Russian cosmonauts on board the station last month as part of an ongoing program of cooperation with America in space. At first, mission control here emphasized there was no immediate danger to the crew, but it soon became clear there were real concerns about the extent of the damage and a loss of electrical power. At a news conference, top Russian space officials agreed it was one of the worst incidents that's ever happened on Mir. The module, which has been closed off, contains large amounts of American equipment used for experiments in space. It's not yet clear whether the crew will be able to save it. At NASA headquarters in Houston, the American controllers also expressed their concern about the seriousness of the situation. The last American astronaut to work on Mir was present during a fire on the space station in February.
Fire aboard an spacecraft and decompression are the 2 most dangerous things that can happen on a orbiting vehicle. So, you know, we've had both of those.
The Americans are now liaising with the Russians about what to do next. In England, Michael Foale's father said he'd been informed his son was safe, but he did have one immediate problem.
The module which they've had to close off because of the problem is Michael's sleeping quarters. So he's rather fed up about this, and he'll have to find a new place to live, as it were, on Mir.
As both Russians and Americans work tonight to find a way of repairing the damage, questions were being raised about the future of the MIR program, which Washington is helping to fund. Today's collision is a major embarrassment for the Russians. They're trying to persuade the West that they can pull their weight in helping to build a new international space station. Today's accident on Mir puts another dent in Russia's reputation. Diana Goodman, BBC News, Moscow.
Well, as you heard, the crew on board the 11-year-old Russian space station has had to cope with a number of problems in the past few months. Since February, there's been a fire on board and the oxygen generator and then the cooling device have failed. The cargo craft, which collided with the station today, was sent into space originally carrying the repair equipment. Our science correspondent James Wilkinson reports on Mir's difficulties and how today's accident happened.
When MIR was launched in 1986, it was only due to last 5 years. But the economic crisis to hit Russia meant they had to abandon plans for further space stations and make MIR last as long as possible. But cosmonauts on board have spent increasing amounts of time on running repairs. Like an old car, things keep going wrong as MIR slowly wears out. Critically, both oxygen generators broke down earlier this year. They had to use emergency measures to generate oxygen, special candles which had to be heated. But the February fire, which caused considerable damage, happened when one overheated. It burnt for 90 seconds before being doused. The cosmonauts had to wear masks to protect themselves from the smoke. According to the rules, they should have immediately abandoned ship, but they decided to stay and cope as best they could. Later they said it had been a valuable learning experience. But at Mission Control in Houston, NASA was concerned. Only after they had had a strict safety review did they agree to the launch of the Space Shuttle Atlantis last month, carrying Michael Foale to Mir. He had hoped for a trouble-free 4-month stay. It was not to be. Today's accident was caused when the men were practicing docking. The unmanned Progress spacecraft, which weighs 1.5 tons on Earth, had been undocked from Mir and was flying around the space station. As it approached to link up again, something went wrong. It came too close to Mir and collided with the solar panels on the scientific module. They became bent and twisted. The force was so great, it ruptured part of the module and it lost pressure. Some experts believe the accident is another valuable lesson to be learned.
I think that MIR has been operating remarkably well when we consider how old the station is and how things are operating on it. And it's a good station to learn a very critical lessons for the future International Space Station. No, I don't think it's in that bad a shape.
But despite the optimism, the accident is serious. Power supplies have been cut by half. Many experiments have been ruined. It could lead to MIR being abandoned earlier than expected. That would jeopardize cooperation on the new International Space Station, in which Russia plays a key part. It will also play into the hands of the skeptics in the American Congress, who even now want to see the whole space station idea scrapped. James Wilkinson, BBC News.
Tony Blair has set out a new timetable for peace talks in Northern Ireland.